in this room has never experienced any unclear and difficult situation? Of course, nobody. Like, who in this room has recently facing some difficulties? Please raise your hand. Okay, more? So I hope my talk today can provide you some positive mindset in this kind of situation. So I'm working on psychology and neuroscience of animal behavior. And on this topic, I always think between my research and the experience in my life. So toward a general understanding, a case is like this tiny mouse here. So there is a cheese very close to it, and also a cat is here. So can you tell what the mouse is thinking right now? Probably very hard for you. And this kind of situation is similar for sometimes when you face a person. But if in the case you observe the mouse run to the chase or escape away, then you can start demonstrate what the mouse was thinking. And this kind of logic is actually how scientists design for a behavior test to measure animal emotion. So for an example, as this design shown here, it is called LiDAR box. So it is a box divided into two areas, light areas and dark areas. And there is a small door between it and allow the mouse to transfer between the areas. So if you sit inside the dark box and look toward the light area, it looks something like this. So for the mouse, it's afraid of somewhere with light, but it also likes to explore around. And it is like you are sitting in a cave and look toward the unknown world. And similar logic, scientists also have the other design that is called elevated plasmids. So for elevated plasmids, it is a cross-shaped platform high above the ground. And there are two types of arms, open arms and closed arm. So for closed arm, there are walls protect the animal to falling down. And for open arm, there is no wall. And if you stand on it, it is something look like this. So you have a good view surrounding as you stand on an observational deck, but it is very dangerous. So for both of these designs, there are two components placed together. So they place together and create an environment with what the mouse wants, with what it don't want. And this is a condition of anxiety. So they use this behavior test to measure animal anxiety. So if the animal shows stronger anxiety, they are expected to stay more in the safe area, like the closed arms or the dark area. While this behavior test has been developed for over 30 years and like lots of validation on it, but it remains controversy. And this is the case what observed in my data. So as you can see here, even I provide the same treatment to a group of mice, compared to the controls, they spend more time in the light area, but they spend less time in the open arm. So this opposite result make the interpretation of animal emotion inconclusive if you view it from the traditional way. And as a researcher, I test and examine if that is caused by some factor during my experiment or some environmental factor. But finally, this paradoxical result become clear to me. So I start to review the literature of mouse anxiety. And what I found is that there are more reports based on the result from elevated plasmids than from the LiDAR box. So this coincidence shocked me at the first moment. So the message to me is that there is an important and fundamental question hide beneath the surface, like the topic here. And from that on, I start to do some thought experiment. What happened or what I expect if I put a depressed mouse inside this behavior test? And also, what I expect to see if I put a fear mouse inside this behavior test. Then I start to find that there are actually a wide possibility for the interpretation of animal emotions. So instead of looking at the behavior and demonstrate the emotion, I start from the emotion, try to provide a complete and inclusive definition of emotion like fear or anxiety. And I come up with a definition like fear is a reaction to a threat, and anxiety is a reaction to uncertainty. So what I expect is fear should increase with the certainty of a threat, but the anxiety should increase with the uncertainty of an environment. And by analyzing through the probability distribution of animal behaviors that's shown in a behavior test, I analyze how much the behavior match to the inferred observation I expect like based on this definition. Then through this opposite logic, both of these results, although opposite from the traditional view, they are all point toward supporting that the mice here showed anxiety. And what is more surprisingly discovery is that actually in both of these behavior tests, there are actually two different psychological features. Fear and anxiety are measured in different zones of this behavior test. And based on this, following this logic, you can repeatedly use this behavior test and take it as a thermometer of emotion that detects the intrinsic stress development. So from my study and through this experience, I try to understand, is there a way for scientists to facing unclear and difficult issue? And here I show an example from other study. So the researcher here, they observe that laboratory rats, they help each other. And there are lots of psychological bases that can support this observation. For example, they just feel curiosity, what you are doing there. And also like they try to save the rats and play with it for some social reward, or just try to stop its alarm call. Or more simply, it is just by coincidence. But from their further testing, they ruled out other possibility and showed that the rats help each other is most likely to be based on empathy as us, the human being. And for other example, it is a study about consciousness. So consciousness for you may be something abstract, and it has long been the human history that we try to have some understanding about the physical substrate for consciousness. And people usually look at the physical phenomenon, for example, like brain activity, and try to correlate with consciousness. But all of these approaches fail to really answer some fundamental question. And the scientist here, he thinks from another direction. He thinks from his own conscious experience and what are the essential properties that support it, and what kind of physical system can account for this property. And from this direction, he developed a theory that can even provide a precise answer to some hard question in the field, like what is consciousness and why a system can be conscious. So from this example, it seems that there is a pattern for scientists to facing unclear and difficult situations in their life. So it is like there is a lock and you want to open the lock by a key, And if you cannot insert a key from one direction, you will change the direction. But if you try many directions and none of them works, then you may change a key. But more than a trial and error, scientists, they deal with problems by doing what they believe. So compared with other mindsets shown in this table, scientists, they importantly take a balance between a strong defense and a strong challenge on what they believe. So in this sense, science, the value of science is not a comparison with other and also not confirmed by other. It is a value for you. So in any situation, wherever or whenever you meet an unclear and difficult situation, there is a space for science. And what we can try to do is to change our perspective, learn, defend, and challenge what we believe. Thank you.